Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. And today is another edition of Mad Cat Smash Feminism. Rah! Okay, it's not Mad Cat Smash Feminism, but it's just been such a long time since I've done that. And it feels good to say it again. So today is a very special video. As the title says, it's International Men's Day today, and there's a special announcement I'm making based on my book, Boys and Men's Issues, Handbook and Fact Book, as well as the website, Boys and Men's Issues. Now, I will be joined by someone, hopefully very shortly. She had another prior commitment, and it's run a little bit long. So she said she'll be here as quick as she can. So until then, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about some things, and hopefully she'll get here soon, and then we can announce things. So before I get started, I want to make sure that you know about my male privilege card. I actually have a lot of these, and you can go on my website. I don't think you can really see that. boysmenissues.com. I'll be sure to put it in the link description box down below. But this is it's a novelty item, but come on. I mean, every man should have a male privilege card. And on the back, you got all of your privileges that women don't. Some things are shorter life expectancy. No paternal rights. 25% likely not to live with your children. Forced to penetrate not considered rape. And that's a really big one. Both in the United States and the UK. I imagine around the world as well. So get this. It's only 75 cents. I want to just get this out of the way first. There are other things that we have on the site. Just click on Shop up top and get some other products. So this has been a good International Men's Day. I apologize. I have so many things on my mind at once. But hold on. Let me make sure this is... there we go. Okay. Hey, Vernon. It's great to see you. So this has been a great International Men's Day. This year I was in ICMI. It's a dream come true. And people have told me that they have enjoyed my broadcast. So that gives me so much joy. It was a very personal video for me. I mean, I know I talk about my life a lot, but I just really want people to gain encouragement from it, to be able to go out there and do something on their own. I also attended a meeting today for AMOS, which is Abused Men in Scotland. And there's a little group out of Scotland/UK that deals with male abuse victims. And the work that they're doing, I mean, it's a bit on the small side, but it is amazing. And there's a very good chance that much of their resources... Oh, here is my guest.
Hi, I need to get better lighting. Hold on. That didn't help. Oh, hi.
We can still see you wonderfully.
Good.
Okay, so allow me to introduce Miss April from the 2020 calendar, Cat in the Fiddle.
Hi.
Because she's a cat and she plays the fiddle, so it all works out. But,
yep. Hi.
So how about you give us just a brief introduction to yourself before we move on to our announcement?
Well, my name is Catherine, or Kat. I'm a grad student at Virginia Tech, studying civil engineering. The program I'm in is construction engineering and management. And I play alt the violin. And I actually had just a performance for a class project, actually. And that was fun. I have a band now with my boyfriend. We just launched. It's called Cat and Banjo. You can look at the name. And my roommate's coming in the door. So, hi, I'm on a live stream. Don't walk behind me unless you have your umbrella up. She doesn't like to be on camera. Sorry. I'm very socially awkward, as you can't tell, and this angle is not flattering. There you go. There's my brief introduction.
Okay, so you kind of froze a little bit.
Oh no.
It looks like a great image of you, though. So, anywho, I guess it's just frozen on this screen that I have, but on the actual live stream, it looks like it's just fine. So I guess, oh well, it doesn't matter. No, now it's back. Okay, there we go. So, before we get started, if you could just answer real quickly, what does men's rights mean to you, and what does International Men's mean for you?
International Men's Day. What it means to me.
What's up?
Did you say say what men's rights means to me, and also what International Men's Day means to me? So for men's rights means to me that we actually have, an equal society where one group isn't favored over another in circumstances. In this case, a lot of times women are favored more, especially like in divorce courts or really any court. Women are often favored. And just look at Casey Anthony getting off because she was able to blame her father for whatever upbringing she most likely didn't have. He seems like a lovely fella. And just how we treat men, it's okay. It's like society treats it as okay for women to hate men, but not okay for men to hit women. It's like, no, just don't hit people. Either everyone can get hit or no one can get hit, right? I'm against double standards. I don't want the double standards to stay. We need to get that shit out the door, kick it in the ass, and say, good day, sir. That's what men's rights means to me. Getting rid of these ridiculous double standards, getting rid of, the demonizing of men or the mistreatment of men, telling them that they're worthless just because they have a penis between their legs. Or, if you're a trans man, or whatever, everyone's worth something, and we shouldn't be demonized for, being who we are, and that extends to men because men are people. Men are just as people as women. And we constantly are reminding women that they're, with something, but how often are we reminding men that they're with something? Sorry, I'm rambling, but this is, to me, the men's rights movement is just getting rid of those double standards and making sure that we have a constant of treatment. We actually have fair treatment. And International Men's Day means to me, appreciating all that men have done, more than just the fathers, but even those who didn't have children, the men who have built think about like all the men who built the Empire State Building, the men who worked in the coal mines. There's so much that men have done. Like a lot of people will just focus on, maybe the academia aspect of men, but like you can just the regular everyday man is doing so much that just kind of goes under the radar. You know, we gotta appreciate people. That's what it is. It's appreciating 50% of the population. That's what International Men's Day is to me.
Well, as I said in chat, we should also appreciate the men who built Hooters across the nation. So, I do want to say for Kat, that she is a great partner to work with, much like it was working with Modern Medusa. And I was kind of focused on my book and trying to get that ready to go out. And she, after doing the calendar, she, like, after all was said and done, she just reaches out and contacts me. And it's like, I want to do more. What more can I do? I want to be a part of what you're doing. And yeah, I actually try to like scare her off. I'm like, this is a lot harder than it seems. And I just like gave her like how complicated it all is. And she's still here. So, and I think she's going to be a great addition to this movement. And that's why I wanted you all to get to know her a little bit, because she is, well, she cracks me up in all honesty. That's she's always making me laugh, and she has such good positive energy. So we do have a special announcement today. This is something that a new project that me and Kat have been working on. And this will deviate from the lovely ladies, as we want to focus a bit more on my upcoming book series, Boys and Men's Issues Handbook and Fact Book. Our special announcement is that we are going to create a magazine. Now, this will be an independent magazine, and we're going to just get it printed off and we'll send it out to people. We'll probably still do an Indiegogo to try to get some funds for it. But the basic idea is, one of the problems with magazines today is that they have to have advertisers. Advertisers pay their salary, pay for the magazine to be done. But because of that, they can only do things within confines of what's considered socially acceptable. And because of that, we can't really get good articles out there. Everything has a feminist stance to it. Even men's magazines still have a feminist angle to it. I mean, I remember back in the day, I'd read Maxim all the time, but after a while, it became too feminist. GQ, a men's magazine, became feminist. Playboy, a men's magazine, became feminist. So that's the advantage of our magazine, is while we will have advertisers in them, we want to have those who are within the movement to have advertisements in our magazines, but they're not exactly paying for the magazine to be made. Now, we might still charge them for ad space, but we want you, the consumer, to help generate magazines. And the advantage of doing a magazine versus doing the calendars with the lovely ladies is, well, after a while, who wants the calendar? I mean, for 2020, I mean, we're almost done with it. And if we had any calendars remaining, I'm pretty sure I couldn't sell them. But a magazine can be quite timeless. And I think that this will be the next evolution of what we're doing, that this is something that's really needed. Now, I've talked a bit. I want to go ahead and turn it over to Kat, although I'm sure she's screaming in her mind, no, don't call on me. I can't think of anything. But I go ahead and talk about the magazine and anything that you want to share about it.
Well, we plan on shall I talk about what we plan on maybe having in there? Like the articles. We plan on having articles about stuff relating to the men's movement, or even work environments that are male dominated and what concerns there are. For example, I was thinking maybe writing an article about the construction work sites. Since, as I mentioned before, my major is civil engineering, and I'm focusing in construction engineering and management, which is admittedly a male-dominated field, which I don't mind. I'm the bratwurst. No, I know I'm the sauerkraut that goes with the bratwurst. Not the bratwurst getting stuck in, but writing about safety, how we can improve the safety there. We do still plan on having models, but there will also be male and female models rather than just the female models that are in Lovely Ladies. So, if any of you watching are wanting to model, put yourself out there. I mean, hit us up. We're looking for models. And what else?
Did you just mention that we're looking for men models as well?
Well, I mean, we were talking about having both male and female models. It's a men's magazine. Fine. We gotta, represent the demographic.
No, I agree with you, as we have already discussed. I was just making sure that you did. I was a little distracted because in the chat, Vernon asked, "Are you the one in the green top and blue jeans unsheathing that Claymore-esque sword in the calendar?"
It is a claymore, and yes. I also have a kukri, if you notice, on my belt. I'm not sure if you see it in the pictures. I can actually grab them. My claymore's in my closet, and I think my kukri is in a dresser drawer. But yes, that is me. My hair doesn't look that red right now. It usually doesn't look quite that red. Mad Cat photoshopped it for me. But yeah, that is me. Where was I? Right. So we are looking for male models. We're planning on having articles. There will be a centerfold or centerfold-like thing. What else were we planning on having? Well, I mean, we're going to have advertisements for businesses and people in the movement. What else we were talking about having in the magazine?
Well, that's okay. I can go ahead and jump in here. So, as far as the centerfold, there's no nudity in this. As much as I would like there to be, we got to keep it a little bit PG-13. But, and in fact, Kat is going to be the first centerfold model, and we definitely encourage other people to bring in there. One thing that I've done in preparation for this is I've been looking at old Playboy magazines. And even though we're not having nudity, I kind of like from the 90s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, just the kind of way that Playboy did it, also Maxim and how they did things as well to get inspiration from it. And one thing I realized looking at these magazines is, oh my God, there's so many advertisements. I mean, there's like 10 times more advertisement than pictures of naked women. And I'm like, how did I never notice this before? And as Vernon's saying that he thinks it's a good idea to get some men in there. And that was something that we tried to play around with the Lovely Ladies in 2020. We wanted to do a men's calendar. Finding male models is a bit challenging because there's not too many men out there that really want to have their picture taken and put in an official source like that. There were some that donated their picture to us, and I certainly would love it. I actually have a great photo of me in a robe. So, but it doesn't even have to be a sexy photo for the men. It can just be a really straightforward photo. But we really want to, this is a men's magazine. We want to showcase men. In fact, and this was an idea that Kat came up with. It's still a working title, but most likely this is what we're going to call it. It's going to be called Boys and Men Issue. And then be issue number 1, issue number 2, playing the double entendre of the word issue as in issues Boys and Men face and issue of the magazine. And that was just like so clever. I'm like, yeah, we should go with that. But
I think we could also just shorten it to men's issues. That's maybe a little more catchy too.
Possibly.
But yeah. I think it's a cute title. Let's see what the crowd says.
What's up?
I said we'll see what the crowd says.
Yes, and anyone who's out there, whether you're in the chat, which looks like just one person for right now, I love you, Vernon. You're an awesome man. One day I'd like to hear you play a song. I see these instruments all over the place, but it's like, play something. Play me a song, Vernon Piano Man. Anyways, so we're always looking for suggestions of what to do. We have 3 issues already planned. Nothing really set in stone, but when you do a magazine, it's really good to plan issues ahead of time. To get an idea of what you're doing, so after you complete one, you're not scrambling to try to get the second one done. And some of the ideas that we come up with, and we're always, thinking up new ideas to do. And of course, with the current climate always changing, that also introduces new ideas. The first magazine is actually going to come out around May, June of next year. We really want to get the Father's Day thing going. Father's Day is like, June 22nd or somewhere around there, and we want to get a magazine that focuses on fathers. So even though we'll probably have the construction article in there, just because we have that in there doesn't mean we can't talk about other things. So we'll talk about I want to do an article on how the media really tries to focus on single mothers for Father's Day, which is just a slap in the face, in all honesty. Maybe some gift ideas. I've also been getting bespoke boxes, like the subscription boxes, and I kind of want to do hey, this is the kind of stuff that I've gotten from it. So, don't know if that'll be in the first, second, or third issue, but that's an idea we have floating. Of course, the construction safety that Kat wants to do, that will definitely be in the first one. I'm thinking of a joke section. I'm thinking of doing an interview with someone, maybe some book reviews, maybe highlight a YouTube channel. Talk about ICMI 2021. So we have lots of ideas. Go ahead.
I was also just thinking, what if we also had maybe a short story section? Since, Mad Cat is an author, he could maybe contribute a short story that, we could have a more exaggerated version of reality, or a dystopian thing, or a story in a world where absolutely no one cared about men, or a story where everyone actually cared about men. The dystopia versus the utopia. I don't know. I'm snowballing, brainstorming ideas. But we got an author working on this. We could have some short stories like what Stephen King used to write for Playboy.
You know what? I'm a little bit disappointed in myself that I didn't think of that idea. And the reason why is that one of my goals used to be, when I was a teenager, is to get a story published in Playboy, because only the best of the best writers got their story in Playboy. And I always felt that if I could ever do that, I knew that I made it as a writer. that I was genuinely, truly a writer. No one could say otherwise because I've been in Playboy. Now they can go fuck themselves. I don't want anything to do with Playboy. But, yeah, I would love to put a story in there, And I would encourage other authors who want to put something in there, maybe a chapter from their book, or they can do something original and we can try to put it into each issue. That is a wonderful idea.
Thank you.
And Vernon has offered himself to model. Yeah, apparently girls like his hair. I can see why. But yeah, we would love to have you, Vernon. We do want to get as much of a parity of men and women, but women just love to model a lot more than men. So, but if you're out there and you want to be in there, like I said, it doesn't have to be a sexy picture. You could just do a portrait and we can get it in there. So the first issue, as I mentioned, is going to be released May, June. The second issue, in accordance with International Men's Day, is going to be an October, November release. And then the one after that, which is going to be around International Women's Day and Women's Month, will be kind of a February, March release. And the reason why we want to do it for International Women's Day is, one, there's just so much out there about women during that time. Hell, there's a lot of things about women during International Men's Day. I'm surprised I haven't seen that much, but I haven't really been looking at it. But there was also a Vox series of articles, I think it was Vox, regarding men covered it, but they did Masculinity Week. And all it was attacking masculinity. They had like 20 articles all about how masculinity was such a bad thing. And I would love to do a magazine series that honestly looks at women, not just to attack them, but to just say, hey, in this issues of Boys and Men's magazine, we look at women. We look at the positive attributes, the negative attributes, how difficult it is for men today to find relationships, or what's holding women back. So that is an idea we're playing with. We're not necessarily stuck in stone on that one, but I want to say to Vox, it's like, look, if you're going to do an issue on masculinity, fine, you want to criticize it, but also show some of the positive aspects of it, And I want to say, if I had a chance to do it, this is what it would look like. Not an act of revenge, but setting the standard for ethics in journalism. I turn it over to Kat.
Yeah. I haven't seen much on women today, but Monty, hold on. Sorry about that. I have an unplanned roommate right now. I haven't seen much in the media about women today, but I haven't been looking at the media. However, I wouldn't doubt everything is currently still about the U.S. election, considering everyone's eyes are on that, for multiple reasons. But I think having an honest look at women would be good. To a degree, Mean Girls, oddly enough, I haven't fully watched the movie, but from what I can gather, that movie, in a way, has an interesting look at women. It does show that oftentimes when girls get to a certain age, they go one of two routes. You have the girls who fully embrace everything feminine, like the plastics. And then you have the other girls who reject everything feminine, but both are equally as toxic. And it can show. So women have many degrees of toxicity. And not everyone grows out of that stage, it seems. And Mad Cat, you were once telling me that very few women actually mentally mature past 16, which I think is an interesting observation, but it definitely could be seen as a valid one, especially I think those who can for a while get away with just using their looks to get everything they want. And then they have no reason to actually develop themselves because they can, just flip their hair or Photoshop an Instagram pic or edit a video and suddenly, oh, they got money. Yay, for looking hot. Or even just lying to themselves and others. Which, I mean, the whole toxicity of Instagram is a whole nother animal. But I think a series of articles looking at the toxicity of femininity. And actually, I think if we did go into the whole toxicity of Instagram, and some men also will fall victim to the toxicity of Instagram, them trying to look for, like, what was it? When women, I mean, both groups will go into debt, like renting all this expensive stuff to try to one up each other. And because, women are more likely to show off their bodies than men, and women are usually more easily able to profit off of their bodies than men. What men end up doing is they just keep shelling out more and more and more and more and more and more and more money until they have dug themselves a huge hole, and they have to constantly try to portray themselves as something they're not. You got people basically hiring women to just be eye candy, and rather than finding a relationship, because I guess they've been told that that's what they have to do. I don't know, but there's so much that we could talk about. My mind's just wandering.
It's fine. No, you're doing great. Well, as the saying goes, girls are made up of sugar and spice and arsenic sauce. So, and what I was saying about girls stop maturing at 16 is actually based on science. It has to deal with the formation of the amygdala, which girls actually develop their amygdala sooner than men do. They usually start around the age of 10, somewhere between 8 and 10. Every girl is a little bit different, but that's generally where it starts. Boys tend not to develop theirs until about 10 or 12. And this is why girls seem to be more mature than boys. It's because they're more emotionally mature. They seem a bit older than they actually are. And there's a lot of evolutionary psychology that really reflects this. Basically, women are ready to mate at the age of 16. Boys are not ready to mate until the age of 18. And this is also why there's a natural attraction to younger women. I'm not saying children, I'm saying to women. Like older men want to date like 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds. And it's just in our DNA. But the thing for men, though, well, while women stop at 16, men continue to go on to about 20. So in many ways, men become more mature in the end because they continue to develop socially. Now, it's not to say that all women are perpetual 16-year-olds, because Kat here, she's definitely mature for most women. It's just that women have to make a conscious effort to become mature beyond what is required of them physiologically. like men who continue to do so. So it's actually quite possible for women to be mature, but unfortunately, society basically says you don't need to. You can be that 16-year-old. So that's a little bit of the science behind what she was saying. So, but yeah, looking at, I mean, it's not even toxic femininity. It's not even toxic masculinity. It's just toxicity. You know, men and women are capable of being toxic. And when we say, well, if men and women can be toxic, then it's not a gendered issue. It's just there are assholes in this world. And that would be something that I'd like to explore. You know, maybe compare and contrast men and women and how they can be toxic, you know. My goal with the Boys and Men's Issue Handbook and our goal with the magazine is not to throw women under the bus and say, well, they're the problem for everything that's going on in this world, much like the feminists would probably claim that we're doing. You know, this is about egalitarianism. And whatever is good for the goose is good for the gander. And that is our approach. We're not trying to just be, hey, we're men and we're misogynists and we want to hate women and want to go back 100 years where we could put a collar on them and a cowbell and, you know, use their breasts as udders. You know, we're not like that.
I don't think we've ever used human female breasts like others. Yeah. I mean, my mom couldn't even produce long enough for what I was supposed to be breastfeeding. She only lasted 3 months, and then I sucked her dry. She couldn't produce anymore. So
So certainly I understand it's International Men's Day, and it's also pretty late for some people. So, you know, I definitely thank Vernon on that for coming in. And hopefully, if you see this video after the fact, I'll try to see if I can get Paul to upload this to his channel. But definitely post down below any ideas you have, if you want to volunteer to model for it, because we're accepting both men and women together. And, you know, maybe it's a far off dream, maybe it's an impossible dream, but we would like this to be like an ongoing thing to where we can actually create a product that's worthy to be on a bookshelf somewhere. It probably won't be because we're not feminist enough, but we would love to have like a 100-page issue that really explores everything going on. You know, make it maybe like once every quarter that we release it and hire a staff. And our goal is not to make money with this, but if we could make a business from this, we can improve the quality of it. So it is a dream that we have, that we really want to make this into something. I like to pause every now and then just in case Kat wants to jump in, but
well, I'm afraid of Monty yelling something else while I'm talking here. Right now, my boyfriend is playing Halo with my brother, so they're having fun. My men are having fun on International Men's Day, and that's nice. Makes me smile. I'm not sure how much I have to add.
Well, Vernon just said that he'd be happy to contribute original material for the magazine. And yeah, you know, if you want to write an article and submit it to us, I mean, we can't necessarily get it into the next issue, but we might keep it around for a future issue. So we want this to be a magazine for you, not a magazine for advertisers, not a magazine for the zeitgeist. We want this to be a magazine for men and the women who support men.
I just had an idea. Sorry. So I was just thinking, what if we had like this poetry section? So you know how a lot of feminists will do slam poetry? Well, what if we had like parody slam poetry. So like, or we had basically a men's movement version of feminist slam poetry poem, but instead of it being feminist, it's pro men, or talking about the issues that men face, but in a rhythmic way. So when you read it aloud, you can feel the power behind the words and feel the anguish that you suffer. I was just thinking that might be kind of cool if anyone wanted to write men's movement slam poetry. That would be interesting.
Banana hammock. Sorry, she said her boyfriend's yelling random things, so I yell random things. And this is why I love working with Kat. Just like with Modern Medusa, she's always coming up with ideas, and it's just almost random when it comes to her, but they are fantastic ideas. And I would love to see some sort of version of slam poetry. I don't know if that's something that we could do for every issue, but at least one issue we could do that, And I just think that this could be a major step, not major step, but a step forward for the men's movement. If you've seen my ICMI speech, I talk about laying the bricks. Like every time we do something, we lay a brick down. And as we all lay bricks down, we can create walls, we can create rooms, we can create houses, neighborhoods, cities, states, countries, if we're all doing something. And yeah, I've already done quite a lot myself. I could probably retire right now, but I'm not going to. Like every day, I'm always thinking of new ways that I can do things for the men's movement, because it needs people to just really get in there and say, forget what the current culture or the zeitgeist says. We need to show people that there's a real issue here. And the only way we can do that is to keep going out there and contributing.
I just thought of another thing. Sorry. I keep coming up with ideas for this just now. I guess my creative juices are flowing after 3 hours of playing violin. But what if we had a reader's submission section where readers could submit their stories, like stuff that happened to them that shows struggles that men face, or like a story about them coming to the men's movement, what made them wake up and realize, hey, this unfairness is bullshit. So that we can, other readers can relate to other readers. It's by the reader for the reader. I think that would be really cool, and it would actually be giving men a voice. Give them an outlet and let their voices be heard. I think that would be beautiful. What do you think?
I think that is also a good idea. Like you said, we want to make this a magazine for the men in the movement, and what better way for them to take ownership of this is if they can include their personal stories to be in the magazine. I think that is a wonderful idea. And I think somewhere along the line, a lot of magazines have lost their way, that, they're catering to a very specific audience, and they've decided to forget that audience and go a completely different direction, cater to feminism. Like Playboy. I mean, Playboy was always about artistic nudity, artistic sexuality, celebrating men's sexuality. And now it's all about feminism and trying to have as little nudity as possible. I'm not saying that nudity is a requirement, but it was designed for a very specific market that definitely wanted it, and they turned their backs on them. And that is something that I really don't want for this magazine. This is a magazine for men and the women who support men. And that's the kind of idea that we need. We need to include the movement into the magazine. Not just write observations we have, but get the readers to read something, to write something other readers would want to see. It's a good idea, yes.
Thank you. And I think we could also, keep it open for women, like supportive women who've seen their boyfriends or like their boyfriends' fathers or their own fathers or their brothers going through insane, stupid shit that they shouldn't have to deal with. That is obviously, what the movement is fighting against, like, my boyfriend's family is having to deal with stuff and courts of law and other insanity, and I would want to, if I were a reader, I would want to be able to submit their stories on their behalf, with permission, of course. So it could be open to both women and men. So like women sharing their stories of, their loved ones who are men suffering, or men themselves suffering, or maybe one of their buddies suffering. It would be awesome. It would indeed help us stay true to the movement, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's awesome as well. And, I can't exclaim enough, she's just, we actually have the same personality type. If you ascribe to MBTI, we're both ENTPs, and that's why we work so well with each other. It's just like, in some ways we have the same brain, but but in other ways, she's like so different from me. Like she's younger as well, so she knows more of what's the local zeitgeist than I do. I kind of know what the older generation is like, so we kind of complete each other in a lot of ways. But yeah, she just comes up with ideas, and she's also a hard worker. So I also want to put out there for artists. In my ICMI, I mentioned photographers taking pictures for use within the men's movement. This is another opportunity. If you want to, if you have a couple of photos and you want to do some sort of spread, we're open to that. Or if you want to donate covers for us, because, if we have a story, we want to have a nice little graphic to go with it. Not necessarily just the models, but other images. And certainly we can give you props, say, hey, this photo's by this person, here's their Twitter. We're also looking for cartoonists. That's one thing that Playboy had that I actually liked. Not that their cartoons were necessarily funny. Sometimes they were, sometimes it's like, I guess that could be funny if I was drunk. But, if you want to do like a one-off cartoon or whatever, we would love to have that in there. Just put them in random places. Or if you want to have a comic strip, we're open to that idea as well. And just put like a series of comic strips in there. So this is a magazine that has a lot of potential. This is an idea that we could go in all sorts of different directions. And we want the men's movement to add to it. I mean, we can come up with ideas on our own, and we could put this magazine just between the two of us, but it's much more interesting if we can get the whole movement to be a part of this, because this is what this movement needs. This is what this world needs, is a magazine. Janice Fiamingo, when she was talking about the whole Vox on regarding men, she said no men's magazine would even dare do such a thing as writing about femininity as Vox did with masculinity. Well, we're a magazine that's willing to do that, because we're our own bosses. We don't have to suck up to all the advertisers in hopes they will pay our salaries. We don't have a salary. One day we hope we do, but we don't right now. We're not going to make any money on this. We're going to put a lot of work into something. we're not being paid for, because that's how strong we believe in it. We don't have to wonder if we're going to have money for our next issue. I mean, a lot of it will come out of our pocket initially, but we're hoping that each magazine we sell will help us get to the next one, be a domino effect, be a chain reaction, if you will. But we are willing to do a lot for this because we don't answer to anyone else. And we can make decisions that no other magazine today can make because we're not mainstream. You're not going to see us on a newsstand somewhere, even though I think you should. Or maybe I'll go there and sneak some magazines on newsstands somewhere, you know. But that's...
We're not going to be in your chiropractor's office. Or maybe we will. I don't know. Maybe a chiropractor will buy it. Just put it in his office. That would be a trip. Dude, if any doctors end up watching this and you want to buy our magazine, you could totally just get it. Well, I mean, we'd have to have it in a special section away from the kids' magazine, of course. It'd be cool if you could just see our magazine in a doctor's office. Sorry, I kind of broke your hype, but then I was like, dude, what if?
I don't know. I think I would like to see a men's rights highlights. You know, those highlight magazines for children. Only we do it for men's rights. That would be awesome.
Dude, imagine the find the difference in the picture, or but make it like men's movement themed somehow. Spot the difference in the picture, and you got like a man without his kids, and then like the wife has all the kids and all the money.
That is awesome. I'm putting it on the list. Every idea she comes up with, or I come up with, it goes on the master list. Compare the difference. Men's rights. Awesome.
Dude, that would be great. Gosh, we should start looking at highlights magazines and start finding ways we could make all their like games for children and movement themed. That would be great. We could have men's issues and then separate magazine, maybe one day. Here's hoping, boys issues. And then that can be
kind of like Boys Life.
Yeah. And then we can have like ways of dealing with the issues that boys face, like how to dealing with your teacher who singles you out more than the girls. Granted, I got singled out by my teacher, but in that part because I was an ADHD tomboy who did not like coloring inside her lines. But I got just as much venom from her as all the other boys did, if not more so, to the point where she called my parents and said that she gave up on me and to shove pills down my throat. But that's another story. Anyway, but we could totally do something like a Boys Life magazine, like combine Boys Life with highlights and then the men's movement, and like have a magazine that helps boys deal with the problems that they face. I think that would be really, good. I had a bigger word there, but it left my brain, so I'm going to use good.
I was just thinking about something from my childhood because you said color outside the lines. I remember when I was 8 years old and the teacher gave us something to color in, just like here's a picture, color it in. So I took a red crayon and just did the whole thing entirely red, and I turned it in. I was done in like 2 seconds. And like, you scribbled, and I'm like, no, I didn't. I colored it. I colored the page. Now, of course, I couldn't articulate what it is I did. I was 8 years old, but I was born in ENTP, as most of us ENTPs are. But it's just that's what reminded me. But no, you're definitely right. And that would be an interesting avenue to explore. And, we can also put things in there about, you know, useful things that fathers teach their son that a son may not necessarily have. They may not have that father figure. So we can include things like how to start a fire, how to change a tire, things that boys should know. I mean, I'm always doing new things in my life that I feel like someone should have taught me to do this so long ago and no one ever did. So I would benefit from a boy's life.
Or even like if they have a father, but their father's working all day, like one of my poor professors, Jesus Christ, his day starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. That guy is not really getting to see his kids. Like, at least he can tuck them in at night, but he has voiced that he misses his kids. He's a married father. He co-parents as best he can, but he's working at school all day. So even when kids have fathers in their life, the fathers are often taken away from them by the job. So it could help even children who aren't the children of single parents, in the cases where they're in mom's custody. I think it could really help so many kids.
And I definitely agree with that one. But once again, that's an idea for further down the line, but it would be a wonderful thing to do. I do want to point out Vernon. He says, could the magazine also serve to promote the arts, craft, and businesses of those who would be canceled due to pandering to woke or social justice powers that be? And I say absolutely yes. I mean, anyone who doesn't want to tote the feminist line but are still artists and can't get the recognition they deserve because they're not feminist enough or they're not involved in identity politics. They just want the art to be out there to say, hey, this is what I saw, this is what I painted or wrote or made a collage, what have you. We would love to have those kind of people in there because this is a perfect platform for them that, like I said, they're not toting the feminist line. Social justice warriors would line up and say, hey, you are a hateful misogynist. We don't want your toxic masculinity here, even if it's a girl. We would want that. Okay, remember, she said she had a boyfriend, so that flannel does not make her a lesbian.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. My boyfriend loves when I wear flannel. But, I mean, my mom also wore flannel. She's part of what got me into wearing flannel. But no, flannel does not make a lesbian. Flannel makes someone who likes to layer or is part redneck or hillbilly, But, I mean, plenty of girls in the country wear flannel. Y'all city folk laugh. I'm kidding. I grew up in Northern Virginia. I was in the suburbs, grew up with government drones. There's as much a city girl as probably whatever you're used to. I'm dating a boy from Shenandoah Valley. But was someone calling me a lesbian? Hold on.
No one was calling you a lesbian. I just had to insert a lesbian joke.
Okay.
By the way, liking pussy is what makes you a lesbian. So yeah. I guess I'm a lesbian.
That reminds me, the lead singer of the Dead Kennedys, I can't remember his name for the life of me, but I remember seeing a shirt, a picture where he was wearing a shirt that said, "Nobody knows I'm a lesbian." I think that's my favorite picture of him. That had to be his favorite shirt. That's hilarious.
So we're coming up to an hour right now, so we're going to come to a close on this. I mean, we could probably talk another 20 hours and just keep coming up with ideas, but we have lives to lead. So in closing, like we said again, this is going to be a magazine for the men's movement. We're going to start off small. We might only have like 8 features in the first magazine, 8 models. But as we do this more and more, we want to grow exponentially. So we will keep you updated. Go to my website, boysmenissues.com. Not only can you pick up a male privilege card, 75 cents, and there's other products is there, but my website will also keep everyone updated on the progress that we're making. We're probably going to do an Indiegogo campaign to try to raise some money for that. So be sure to watch out for that. But once again, this is going to be a magazine by the men's movement, for the men's movement, with the participation of the men's movement. It's all going to be interrelated together. So, Kat, what's the best way people might be able to find you, whether on Twitter or Instagram or?
I just realized that I was not muted that whole time. So let's see. Probably one of the better ways to reach me would be through Twitter. My @ is CatGutMcLean. God, I guess I could type that in the chat. With capital C. I cannot type a capital C apparently. Gut with a capital G, and then McLean is McCain. That's my @ on Twitter. Facebook is more of a private thing for me. But I do have a Facebook page, like an actual page for my musician stuff, but I hardly use that. If you want to follow Monty and I on Cat and Van Show, feel free. Not sure how many gigs we'll get with the whole COVID thing, but we're there, and we plan on releasing more videos soon. Chris was kind enough to give me his old rock band microphone. I just need to find a stand for it, and it hopefully will work in the meantime while I get around to getting the Blue Yeti fixed, or ordering like a snowball for a new Blue Yeti, because that thing ain't working right. But I think the best way to reach me would be through Twitter. You can like say, hey, follow back. I want to message you. Oh my God. And I check that more. Though if I don't get back to you, it's probably either because I'm gaming, spending time with my boyfriend or family, or I'm doing schoolwork, and I get my wisdom teeth taken out on Monday, so that's gonna be fun. Yay. So yeah, Twitter's the best way to reach me. That's that. Long story short, Twitter. I ramble. I'm sorry.
And of course, best way to reach out to me is on Twitter, mad_cat__. I kind of think of it like doing. Vernon wants to know, do either of us still actively play Magic the Gathering? Well, I don't actively play it. I have been trying to get my cards organized and maybe sell them because I need the money, but I do have like thousands of old Magic the Gathering cards from back in the day. So, Kat, do you Magic the Gathering?
I don't. Around the time I was almost maybe kind of considering it, there was that whole debacle with the quartering and them, being assholes to him because he was calling a cosplayer out on her bullshit. And so I was like, oh, well, that's dumb. I don't want to support that. Also, I'm more of a D&D kind of girl myself. I never played Magic the Gathering, but you ask me to play D&D, I'll be like, okay, which edition? I'm most comfortable with 3.5, because I am. Fourth edition can go fuck itself, and I've never played 5e, but yeah, I don't do Magic. For reasons that, and also I'm a college girl. I gotta spend money on beer in school, so.
Well, one day she's going to be ready for the real game, BattleTech and Mech Warrior. I'm working on her, getting her from the D&D to the BattleTech.
Okay, look. I grew up sitting on my dad's lap while he played BattleTech. Ye old BattleTech, okay? And then I would crawl onto his weightlifting equipment and then pretend I was operating a Mech Warrior. So I am familiar with BattleTech, and my brother is even more into it. My brother loves BattleTech and Warhammer 40K. So I do know plenty of lore, though some of it may be a bit rusty because I'm trying to cram my head full of music and school and life. But yes, I do know BattleTech, and I am a fan to a degree. And my brother is a huge fan, and same with my dad. So
I'm definitely a huge fan by evidence of the name Madcap, but also because I have a Clan Snow Raven tattoo from it. Although I am Ghost Bear. Ghost Bear is my clan, but the Raven symbolizes me a lot more. But anyways, we need to get going. Thank you, Vernon, for all the great content into the chat. Thank you, Kat, for joining me. I know you are super, super busy, so thank you for taking an hour of your day to join me for this. Happy International Men's Day to everyone. I think this has been a really good year, especially with ICMI. We had over 120 videos come out for that, and I got to be on ICMI. Dream come true. There's just so many things going on, so many moving parts, and I am super happy to see what the next year brings for us, even if it means that we have to get the cuck in the White House. I'll let you interpret what I meant by that. Last words?
I don't think I do. Also, I've heard that Michigan is now up in the air. Apparently, it lost some credentials because they found some serious fraud. At least that's what my roommate was telling me this morning while I was about to go shower. So I kind of been staying off of the news because, you know, I'm trying to stay sane with all the other stuff I already have going on. I don't need added insanity. I'm losing my mind perfectly fine on my own.
All right, that does it for us. Remember, check out boysmenissues.com. That is my website. Should be in the description box down below. We're going to keep things up to date as far as what my book is doing and what this magazine is doing, and check out the products there. We have a couple of things that you can purchase right now, and we look forward to what we can do for the movement with this magazine. Thank you so much, and everyone have a good night.
Thank you.